myself Dr. Lavleen Kumar Bagi, and today I'm going to discuss Unit 5 Sales and Demand Forecasting. And in this chapter, the contents which I'm going to discuss are the what is forecasting, what are the various types of forecasting, what is the concept of demand forecasting and sale forecasting, and then what are the various methods we have used for the forecasting. Now, in this news, the New York Times published on the 3rd of November 2016, you can clearly see the picture over there. It is going to tell that 86% chance is to win Hillary Clinton and 14% chance is to win the presidential election of the United States. And the news which I am going to show, the reason behind this is that there is a just hold on. It is mentioned forecast. It is not mentioned that it is predict. Okay, and then there is a written mention word forecast over there. So, and the we know that who won the election, that is November 9, 2016, is the Donald Trump is going to uh, win the election over there in the United States. And now in the next few slides I'll tell you why the word forecast they have used, not the predicted. And the basic difference between the forecast and the predict is that the forecast is basically tells that the major chunk of the population is going to select whether A, whether B, whether C. That means it is the population based. And when we tell that the individual is going to select the door A, either B, either C, then it should be mentioned it is a predict over there. So from this we can say that forecast anticipate trends within the large population, and the timeline is also important over there, that is a month or year is there. And in the predictive, anticipate the behavior of the single individual. Anticipate means it is going to tell that the expect that the behavior of the single individual over there. And over there it is right now, it is not the exact over there, and that it is not tells that on that is in the year 2020 we go to the Mars, or in the year 2050 we are going to achieve these goals for the growth of the India. So it is not exactly mentioned. So if the year is mentioned exactly or month is mentioned exactly, then we call it as a forecast over there. Now in this picture there are two type of pictures are there, and the one is the traffic jam is shown, and other one only one car is shown over there. Can you tell me which one is the forecast and which one is the predict? So over there, how heavy will the traffic be in the next month? Now you see there is the it is deal with the large population of the vehicles. So we can say it is the forecast, and timeline is mentioned that in the next month. And over there if we see, will the yellow car get off at the next exit, it is that means the time is not mentioned over there. It is not that within a 10 second, within a 1 minute, within a 5 minute it is going to, it is said that will the yellow car get off at the next exit or not. So we can say that one is the forecast, other one is the we predict for the individual. So over there you can see. So based upon this uh, we can make the difference between the forecast and the production over there. So first we can say there is a process of creating future predictions with relevant data. That means we have some data to predict the future. And in the case of production, process of creating future predictions with or without any relevant data. Whether you have data or not, sometimes we predict the future. In the case of accuracy, forecasting is more accurate, and in the case of production, it is the accuracy is not so high over there. And then we have most applied in the uh, meteorology, economy, and financial sectors, mostly applied in the this and production can be applied almost anywhere over there. And forecasts are generated from calculations and data. As we have data, so we are going to rely on these things, and we are going to generate the forecast by the calculations from the data assessment. And is the subject of bias. Subject of bias means it is like basically the one's particular intuition over there. Suppose there is a one person who said that I'm going to I'm going to take whether I'm going to take this bus or not. That means it is a particular, it is a biased decision. And then quantification over there, it is easily quantified, and it is not easily quantified over there. Done using scientific methods. I'll tell you there are various methods to forecast the particular process over there. So there is a, it is based upon the scientific methods, and it is arrived at by arbitrary methods. That is basically instinct over there. And then application levels over there, it is the aggregate level, it is the customer level. That means it is the individual type based things over there. So these are the basic difference between the forecasting and the prediction. And one of the very good author of the book Facts from the Figures, MJ Morone, write that economic forecasting like weather forecasting in England is only valid for the next 6 hours or so. Beyond that, it is sheer guesswork. That means if you do the long-term forecasting, that means it is not so accurate. So that's why it is mentioned over there that long-term forecasting is difficult. Short-term forecasting can also be made with certain degree of accuracy. So over there it is mentioned only for the 6 hours. Timeline is mentioned over there. That is forecasting for the 6 hours is accurate, but if you go beyond that 6 hours, that means it is merely a guesswork over there. It means guesswork means it is a prediction over there. Up to here it is forecasting, and then it becomes the prediction. So from here we can say what is forecasting. Forecasting is a basically tool. That means we are going to rely on these scientific methods, and in the scientific method there are various tools. So it is mentioned that tools are there. Forecasting is a tool used for predicting future demand based on the past demand. That's the thing. That means we have the data from the past demand, and based upon the data, and we use some scientific tools, we predict the future. Now suppose I'll take the same example I have taken, the inventory control. So there is a cycle shop, there is a demand of the cycles, and demand of the cycle means the customers are there, and then based upon the demand, cycle shop is going to put the order to the industry, and industry is going to deliver the number of cycles as per the demand. So based on this, the owner is going to think that how many cycles he is going to order. That means based upon the demand. So over there now industry forecast that suppose that it will able to sell 10,000 cycles per week. suppose तो इंडस्ट्री जो है वो देख रही है, उसको लगता है कि वो 10,000 साइकिल जो है वो सेल करेगी. How they get this data? This data comes from the various cycle shops. Okay. And then next thing is, so what is the lot say how much to order. So suppose there is a industrialist. Now he is going to think, the managers they are going to think what are the various parts they are going to order, what is the raw material quantity based upon this. So suppose this is the cycle parts are there. As you see there are number of cycle parts are there. So we have to plan accordingly which part is going to used, and what quantity raw material we need. So based upon this forecasting, there is a very detailed manner we are going to plan the things. Now as you see this thing, that a material requirement planning system, there is a master production schedule. That means in the master production schedule we plan the number of items and the number and the exact date at which the particular component is to be required or finished, or final product you are going to deliver. This is called the master production schedule, and based on this you are going to plan all the things, or we can say scheduling all the things from the raw material to the finished goods. Okay, now that means this thing is very important, master production schedule. So for this master production schedule, the input is this thing, sale or demand forecast. That is the input part, act as input to the master production schedule, because if you don't have the how many quantity you are going to make or how many number of cycle you are going to make, that means you are not going to able to make this thing master production schedule, and which further act as the input to the material requirement planning. So this is the input for this, and basically if you make this thing, that means master production schedule is for the input for the this MRP computer program. So based upon this we are going to further get the various outputs over there. So what we are going to do, industry forecast that it will be able to sell suppose 10,000 cycles in a week. So we have to take decision, and decision for making this thing 10,000 cycles, and that means we take the decision of what will be the raw material or inventory level we have, and then we take the decision whether we need to procure the raw material or not, and how much quantity of the raw material we are going to procure, and at what stage, and which type of raw material will be required. That means again this thing is to be planned properly. That means inventory control is another viewpoint in this part. Then how the product manufacturing will be scheduled within the organization or on the shop floor. Then we have to make the plan, that is scheduling plan we are going to make, and we have to decide the things for the scheduling. So sale for forecasting is one of the most important aspect which helps us to plan our activities within the organization. So all the things are to be controlled by the your forecasting data. So over there is a one thing you have to know, that there is a sale sale and other is demand. That is demand. Now what is the difference between sale and demand? Sale is the is that unit which is going out of the industry, or we can say it is going towards the customer, and demand is the item which is going to be get by the customer over there. So there is another big difference over there. We can say that sale is what you buy, sale is what you buy, demand is what you want, and growth comes from bringing the two together. So this is the basic difference between the sale and demand. Now you see there is a lot of parts in an industry is going to use to make the bicycle. So how to manage the inventory? This is the one point comes over there after forecasting. What will be the amount of inventory that will be managed, when to place the order for the inventory. So all the things are to be controlled by the forecasting, and basically this is the input for the MPS, and MPS is going to control this thing, that is master production schedule is going to control this thing. So what happen if industry is not going to able to sell this much amount of cycles per week? What happened? Suppose the sale is going down, it is not going to able to sell this thing, or suppose you say that 1000 cycles are going to sell that particular weeks. So if forecasting is going to correct, that means it is going to be huge loss to the industry, and if forecasting is good, or we can say accurate, then industry is going to get the huge profit. That is the loss, industry is going to bear the huge loss, and it is going to profit to the particular industry. Okay, so this is the case over there. Why loss? Because you already invest the huge amount of the money to buy the inventory, and machines and the workforce, or and also the you are going to get the warehouse. So this is the case over there. Some important questions come in mind over there. What is the purpose for the forecast? Which system will use the forecast? How important is the past in estimating the future? This is the questions come in mind over there when we deal with the forecasting. And answer will determine time horizon, techniques, and level of detail for forecast. That means for how many year or how many days you are going to that is the short term forecasting or the long term forecasting you are going to do, what techniques you are going to use while making the forecasting, and at what level of details you have to make the forecasting detail. Okay, so these are the things we have to keep in mind. Now there is a various definitions for the forecasting over there, and the one of the best definition, what the good definition for the forecasting is that forecasting is the process of estimating the future demand. As I've already told you, that estimate the future demand. How they estimate the future demand? Based upon the past future demands, and in terms of the quantity, how many quantity of the cycles they are going to make, timing, at what time of the year they are going to uh, demand is high or low, what type of quality the customer wants over there, and location for the desired product and services. At what location? That means the location is also very important. Suppose the in the hilly areas, the cycle demand is maybe more or less, so it is based upon this thing, which region or at what location you are going to sell the bicycles. Forecasting is the art and science of predicting the future. Why art and science? Because there is a intuition part is also be there, and there is a, you can say, scientific methods we are also be involved over there. That's why this is the art and science over there for predicting the future events. And then forecasting is a tool used for predicting future demand based upon the past demand information. That's the tool. Why tool over there? Because this, it is a scientific way to explain the things. Then why we need of forecasting? That means there is a majority of the activities of the industries depend upon the future sale. Now you see, this is how the MPS master production schedule is going to make, and all other related activities are going to rely on the this thing. How many bicycles in an industry they are going to sell in the next 6 months or in a year. Projected demand means it is the anticipated demand. That means expect that this demand is going to be क्या कह सकते हैं उसको, कि ये डिमांड जो है इन द ईयर 2021 के अंदर ये डिमांड जो है इतने नंबर ऑफ साइकिल्स की जो है वो प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं. Project demand for the future assisted in decision making with respect to the investment in the plant machinery, market planning programs. All the things are to be controlled by this demand, and demand is further is control the your sale. टू शेड्यूल द प्रोडक्शन एक्टिविटी टू इंश्योर ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ द प्लांट. अगर आपको पता ही नहीं है कि 10,000 साइकिल आपके पर वीक के अंदर जो आपने सेल करने हैं वो इतने नहीं है, तो यू कैन नॉट ensure all the things are to be optimal used. To prepare material planning to take up the supply action to make the materials available at right quantity and right time. This is again important over there. If you know, if you do the forecasting accurately over there, then you know that what amount of the quantity you need and at what time you need the quantity. To prove an information about the relationship between the demand for different products in order to obtain a balanced production in terms of quantity required of different products as a function of time. Suppose कोई एक इंडस्ट्री है जो सपोज कोई होंडा इंडस्ट्री है, तो होंडा के अंदर वो बाइक की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी है, उनका स्कूटर की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी है, उनकी जो है कार की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी है. तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग डिफरेंट टाइप की जो है प्रोडक्ट्स मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हैं, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग जो है, अगर मैं कहूँ कि पूरी का पूरा का कार का, स्कूटर का और बाइक की जो है फोरकास्टिंग एक साथ कर दूं, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. सो इट मे हैपन, इट मे लीड टू द लॉस टू द इंडस्ट्री. सो वी हैव टू go for the individual segment, that how many cars we are going to sell, or what is the demand of that particular segment of the car is there in the market, what particular segment of the bike is in the demand, and what particular segment of the scooter is going to be demand is there in the next coming months over there. So, and also this is the timeline and the quantity over there, and for the individual product segments, forecasting is going to provide future trend. That means future, how will be the your demand in the future. Maybe it is going up over there, or it may vary like this, or it may like this, first high and then down over there. So what will be the future trends, which is essential for the product design and development. So over there, suppose in the, that's it, that particular time the demand is high, and between this the demand is very low, so we have to plan accordingly. For these months we have to plan the production or manufacturing facility for these months over there. And then lead time require that decision may be made in advance for uncertain events. So for the, if you are going to suppose you are going to manufacture the you have the hosiery industry, then you have to make sure that you are going to supply your product to the customer at the right time and the right quantity over there. So to avoid this thing, if you are not going to provide the your particular hosiery products to the customer in time, that means you are going to bear a loss. And to avoid this thing, the lead time is very important. So you have to plan the things accordingly. That means lead time is when you place the order, when you get the things over there. So the time between this is called the lead time, and we need this thing to evaluate. Forecasting is important for all strategic and planning decisions in supply chain. Supply chain means from the raw material, that is from the raw material to the finished part, that is finished good, that is a finished good. So all the activities involved from the raw material to the finished product is called the your chain, and this chain is called the supply chain. Forecast of product demand, material, labor, financing are important inputs to scheduling. That is the master production schedule we are going to make. And for this master production schedule, all the things, what is the demand, what type of material we need, how much quantity of the material we are going to need, what is the how many labor is we are going to need, and how much amount of money we are going to invest. So all the things are to be inputs to the master production schedule, and this thing is the basically control the forecasting. Acquire resources and determine resource requirement, all the things are to be there. Now based upon the time horizon forecasting, there is a short term forecasting, there is a medium term forecasting, there is a long term forecasting are there. So in the short term forecasting, that means done for the 0 to 3 months, and medium term forecasting means 3 months to 2 years, and long term is the from more than 2 years. That means when you are short term forecasting, it is generally for the inventory management and scheduling, and medium term forecasting generally used for the production planning, purchasing and distribution over there, and long term forecasting generally used for the capacity planning. That means when you expand the your capacity and facility location, suppose the where you want to start manufacturing the particular product, strategic planning, you make the some strategies for planning over there. And sometimes this long term planning is also used for the new product development over there. Any new product you are going to manufacture, so you have to do the long term forecasting. So this is the short term, medium term and the long term. Now what is the purpose of these short term and the long term? In the short term forecasting, it is appropriately used in the production scheduling, as I have already told you. reducing cost of purchasing raw material, because if you are going to plan accordingly, that means you can easily reduce the cost of the raw material. And this cost, we already know that how to reduce the total cost by using the various EO EO economic order quantity models are there. Determining appropriate price policy, you can easily negotiate the things because you have the time over there. Setting sale targets, establishing control and incentives involving suitable advertising and promotional campaign, you can easily do this thing. Forecasting short-term financial requirement, so these are the purposes why we need the short-term forecasting. And why we need the long-term forecasting for the new unit, as I've already told you that when you plan to make the manufacture the new part over there, new product over there, you need the long-term forecasting. Or if you want to expand the existing unit, you need the long-term forecasting. Planning long-term financial requirement, planning for manpower requirement, how much labor you need for uh, for manufacturing the particular product. That means all the things are to be जो है used in the long term forecasting. Now there is a different trends of the in the case of there we can say from the past data, and all these are the based upon the past data. Suppose there is a trend, there is a seasonality graph, we have data, cyclic data we have, random variation data we have. So trend means particular demand. This is the you can say demand, this is demand axis, this is the time axis. At you can see this particular demand is going to be for the particular product is going to rise with the time. So this is called trends. Seasonality means a seasonal pattern is an oscillating movement in demand that occurs periodically in the short run and is repetitive. Okay, so this is how you can see demand is high, then demand is low, then demand is high, then demand is low for the particular time frame, for the particular month or a particular days over there. So seasonal pattern can occur on daily or weekly basis over there. Suppose I take the example of any restaurant, and in that particular restaurant there is a lunch time over there. So in the lunch time you can see the demand for the food is more over there, and then in the morning the demand is very less, and then there is a lunch time the demand is high. So this can be predicted as per the this graph also. And you can see all the restaurant are generally rely on the forecasting that this much number of customer will definitely come and take the lunch. Now we have the cyclic elements over there. In the cyclic element, and what is the difference between seasonal and cyclic? It is for the short run and it is for the long run over there. The data you collect for the long run over there. The cyclic is a rippling movement in demand up and down that repeats itself over lengthy time over there, and it may be a more than 1 year. Suppose during the Olympics or during the World Cup cricket matches, the sale of the cricket bat and the cricket ball is going to be very high. That means every 4 year or 5 year the sale is going up during the particular event over there. So we can say that it is a cyclic demand, and this data is based upon the your past uh, consumption over there. So this is called the cyclic. So cyclic is basically the long term events data, seasonality is the short term demand data you have, and all these data is are accurately you mentioned on the graph. Then we have the random variation. In the random variation, although you can see the demand is going high, the line shows that demand is high, but when you are going to put the data demand versus time over there, you can see that demand is high, then demand is low, then demand is high, then demand is again low. So there is a variation over there, but the trend is going up over there. Another graph we can show this thing. Suppose then demand is high, then it is show like this. This is another view of the random variation data, and this data is the collection of the demand with respect to the time based on the your previous data, past data. So from the past data you plot the graph, and from the plot you can easily expect that suppose this is the up to 8th month, suppose up to 8th month of 2019 you have get the data, and now you are going to predict what will be the demand on the 9th month or 10th of the 2019, okay, or 2020 over there. Then that means this part is now going to consider as the forecasting, and this forecasting is to be done based upon the this past data you have. Now there are various types of the forecasting, that is the economic forecasting, technological forecasting, the area in, if you are deal in the economic, if you deal in the technological, and if you are say there is a demand and sale forecasting over there. So these are the three basic types of the forecasting. Economic forecasting generally address the business cycle by predicting the inflation rate, money supply, housing starts, and other planning indicators are there. So what is the inflation rate over there, and what the profit or the loss industry is going to bear? This is the forecasting based upon these datas. Technological forecast means it is concerned based upon the rate of technological progress. Suppose now the, as you see, the technology in the mobile phones are continuously changing every week or a month over there. So we have to be uh, do the forecasting based on this technological data over there. So these are the concerned with the rate of technological progress which can result in birth of exciting new product. Suppose this thing is there requiring new plant equipment over there. So there is a, if you are going to start make the new product over there, and the technology is not readily available in the market, that means you need to manufacture the particular product, and for the manufacturing of the particular product you are going to require the new plant and equipments over there. Now there is a demand forecast. These are the projections of demand for a company's product or a service. Again, this thing is the data is going to be collected from various shopkeepers, and what is the sale of that particular product from all these shops, and then all the data collect from the shops study is sent to the industry, and over the industry all the managers sit together and they are going to do the brainstorming based upon the scientific methodology, and then they are going to forecast the sale over there. This much amount of the sale is going to be uh, there for the next year or the next month over there. So this is the demand forecast. These forecasts drive companies production capacity scheduling system over there. So as I've already told you, this is nothing but the master production schedule, and serve as input to financial, marketing, and personal planning. So from this is the basically the input to the MPS, and MPS is further have the inputs of this thing, financial, marketing, and personal planning we are going to do. Now this is the forecasting system. Basically this is how the your all the things are to be done over there. Now you can see there is a input system we need, and we need some output system, and for the there is a some can say system we are going to need for convert the input into the output over there. Now what are the various inputs for forecasting system? This is based upon the internal data. Maybe over there you have, it is a historical subjective surveys, industry is going to be uh, already done in the past. Maybe it is the your external data, environmental data, sometimes called it as a external data. And external data means economic, social, political, technological data is there. And now historical data means based upon the past, that is in the 2017 2016 or in the year 2000, this much amount of the sale for the particular product is there. Like this, subjective is the broader way of the data. You have survey, sometimes survey is conducted by the companies. And economic means what type of growth of the economic in the particular country is there. This is not is the external data, and this data is to be, industry is not going to have the this data, and industry is having rely on these type of data are there. Social, political, what is the political party now, and what is the policy the political party is going to frame. Then their technology is there, maybe technology is going to obsolete within 2 year or 3 year, so we have to use these things as the input. And then we have the forecasting methods. There is a predictive, casual, time series method we are going to use. These are the various scientific approaches we are going to use. And for this forecasting method, we need to make the input of these, how to select, selection of the data, which data we are going to select to make this thing, to in these methods, selection of method, which method we are going to use to make the output, to get the output. And and these are the constraint. The data you have is constraint, time, sometime within a 2 year or 3 year, for the time should be fixed over there. Then expertise, it is a constraint part in this forecasting जो है ये वाला इस सिस्टम के अंदर अपना जो कंस्ट्रेंट रहेंगे. Then we have fund is also constraint. That means this much amount of the money you have, and based upon this much amount of the money you are going to make the your manufacturing system. And then we have the output, based upon all the things over there, input, decision, constraints, and the methods, we are going to get what you are going to get. Output is basically the expected demand. This, suppose 10,000 cycle, from all these things you are now get to know that this much is the number of cycles you are going to sell. Okay, this is called the expected demand. Then we have the forecast error. Suppose in the expected demand you calculate is 10,000 in the previous year, and it is not going to sell the 10,000. Suppose you sell the 9,000. That means in the previous 2019, the expected demand you have observed that 1,000 cycle are not going to sell. That means only the selling rate is 9,000 per year, suppose. So based upon this thing, you are also get to know that what is the trend of the demand in the market over there. So this is the basically how the forecasting system works. Now based upon this thing, as there is a three systems are there: predictive, casual, time series. And over there's a judgmental. This is the predictive means judgmental. There is a time series method, that is a casual system. Okay, in the judgmental, as you see, it is rely on the human art of the judgment. And it is generally a prediction part over there. And then there is a time series over there. In the time series analysis, try to establish this is the you can say over there, cause and effect relation between the sale and some other parameters that are related to the sales. Demand for, suppose, cement depends upon the projected growth of the construction industry. So over this, the objective in this method means casual method, causal, sorry. It is not casual, it is causal. In the causal method, the objective in this method is to establish the cause and effect relationship between the changes in the sale level of the product and set relevant explanatory variables over there. So this is basically the, you can say, total is the causal method. So it is this, we are going to observe the cause and effect of the method. So over there it is cause and effect. Causal method is what? This method is cause and effect. And cause is what? The projected growth of the construction industry. This is the, and due to this effect, we are going to see that demand of the cement is going to be high. So this is the cause and effect part over there. This is the forecasting method. And the time series analysis, we are rely on the historical data, past data of the demand or the product, and then project the data to project this data to find out the future demand. The important method for making the inference about the future on the basis of what has happened in the past is called the, now over there, this is time series. Suppose in the January, in the Feb, in the March, in the April, this is the sale part over there. Suppose this is the demand in the month of January. This is the demand. This is the time based data. Basically, I want to say. Now there are various, as these are the various. Now I am going to explain one by one all the things over there. Now you can see the, in the case of input we are rely on the systems. These are the input data, internal and the external data. So over there the data prepared demand forecast can be internal or from the external sources. Historical data in the form of time series on previous sale, order, expert opinion of an organization, personal result of special surveys are most frequently used information input that can be generated within the organization. So these are the, basically these things I have already explained to you, that what are the various types of the inputs we are going to give to make the forecasting. Then we have the outputs over there. In the output, we, these are the output, what the expected demand is going to be there for the next few months or the next year is there. And another is the forecast error. We are going to check that in the previous year we do the forecasting, but our forecasting is not up to the mark over there, and this much number of parts are not going to be sell in the market. So we are also going to find the forecast error over there. So over there you can see there is a demand relate to order received from the customer, while sale refers to the shipment made. So this is very important, as this thing I have already tell you that what is the demand and what is the sale over there. So demand thus may sometimes differ from sale in amount. So it is not like that the demand is same as that of the sale over there. हेलो जसविंदर सर मैं लेक्चर ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਗਾ 2 ਮਿੰਟ ਦੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ मैं 2 मिनट में लेक्चर ही चल रहा है मेरा मैं सिर्फ 2 मिनट करता हाँ and demand thus may have sometime differ from the sale in amount due to limited capacity over there. So we have to lost sales over there in the timing or shipment due to production lead time over there. This is again very important part over there. So this is the inputs over there. Now forecasting system constraints over there. The selection of the forecast method, how we are going to constraints are there. These constraints I'll tell you, these are the various constraints: data, time, expertise, funds. These are the constraints, how what type of expertise you have, what type of data you have, and what is the time needed you have over there, and the funds over there. So these are the things. Most important among these are the time available to prepare forecast, lack of relevant data, quality of available data, what type of quality you have, expertise within the organization, the available computing facility you have. Now the forecasting, what are the various decisions you are going to take? These are the decisions: selection of the data, selection of the method. So now we are going to see this thing. In operating forecasting system, management must take the decision with respect to data you have, what type of data you have, what method you are going to use. Based on this you develop the forecast, and the data may be in the form needed or may require adjustment aggregation. If there is a long history of demand, care must be exercised with regard to how far back we go, whether it is good to take the data of 2000, whether it is good to take the data of 1947, 1980, like so, how far we go. So the data should be, you have to make the things clear that how far you are going to go back and collect the data. Then we have some performance criteria over there. There are three criteria generally. effectiveness of the forecasting system. If the forecasting system is very accurate, the forecasting criteria is generally objective in the treatment of historical data. How you are going to use the criteria, time required to prepare the forecast. So these are the criteria for the performance evaluation of the forecasting system. Then we have the forecasting methods. These are the basically the in general two type of methods are there: qualitative method and quantitative methods. Qualitative methods generally rely on the human judgment and the opinion, so this is called the qualitative. And the case of quantitative methods, these are used of scientific ways, mathematical simulation models, and based upon the historical demand and relationship between these variables. This is called the quantitative methods. And these are the this I'll explain in the next lecture. Qualitative, quantitative method, and what are the various types of the qualitative methods are there, what are the various quantitative methods are available with us. Okay, thank you dear.